and welcome back to Sports Talk Radio on Toronto's #1 radio show. Guys, you know what? I just got to give it up first off to the Raptors who swept the Brooklyn Nets 4-0. What an incredible series. I'm waiting for big things on Thursday for Boston.
Yeah, Boston's the only one that I'm really scared about in terms of like winning against them. I feel like the other teams, we have a chance, but Boston, I think, has been an issue. But that's not this podcast. That's not what.
No,
we're not talking sports here. No, but yes, welcome back to the Have We Made It Yet podcast. It's the podcast where us as in, okay, well, I'm the co-host, Josh Yang, who's a comedian.
And I'm the actor, Lucas Ng. It is the podcast where creatives talk about the process of making it. And although we usually start off with the questions that we ask each of us if we've made it yet, I do got to say one major thing about this podcast, though. This is episode 30.
Oh, yes, episode 30.
Yeah.
We didn't know if this would survive COVID or coronavirus, but it's still going.
We're still going. Through a pandemic, we're still pushing through. And so I just want to acknowledge, thank you, all the people who have listened thus far, who have subscribed to us, who have listened to us, who have watched us on YouTube. Thank you. Another 30 more, Josh.
Another 30 more, and then, got it. And then we'll see where the future leads and if we're still doing it like this fashion. But
I know, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Josh Yang, as we start off with every episode. Have you made it yet?
I have not made it yet. But I did do a show at like a friend's kind of backyard thing, which is now what comedy is. It's just either backyard shows or on the patios in Toronto. So I did that. It was nice. It was like a Brazilian barbecue. So it was like half the audience was Brazilian. So I didn't know how much my jokes would translate, but I mean, some of them worked, some of them didn't. But yeah, it was good to try some new stuff and see how an international audience likes my jokes. But that's it. That's all I've been able to do in the last week or so. But Lucas, have you made it yet? That's important.
No, and I'm so happy you asked it like properly this time. Since last week you had a stroke midway through. No, I have not made it yet, but since recording of last episode, that commercial that I was talking about in the last episode, we as in my girlfriend and I, we got a call back for that commercial.
Really? So do you and your girlfriend have to do the callback additional tapes? Yeah.
So we actually did the Zoom audition in the just like back there. And we recreated our scenes and all that stuff. It was really fun. At the end of the day, I don't think we got the part. But it was kind of cool at the same time, though, because like my girlfriend doesn't have any aspirations to be an actor. She first of all isn't an actor, has no aspirations to be an actor. But at the same time, she got a callback on her first audition ever.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
she should totally just hold it over your head. So easy. What are you talking about, Lucas?
I know.
This acting thing so easy.
I didn't even want, and I got a call back.
Yeah.
So, if anything, I think my girlfriend has made it, which I'm happy for.
It's batting for 100 for callbacks.
Exactly, 100%, man. But Josh.
Yes.
Our guest today. Wow. Okay, so. I'm just gonna be honest with this. So with this next guest, I'll be honest. We haven't personally met too much.
Yep.
So I'm really excited for this chance to speak with her now. I remember seeing her on panel discussions on Zoom during our whole COVID pandemic lockdown, in which we can't be all together in a personal space. So I've seen her on some panels hosted by LB Acting Studio, where she was at times moderator and at times a guest on those same panels. I was drawn into her perseverance, her fight to attain her dream, and how far she's come since she started on her journey in acting. She's been in the entertainment and performing space for 20 years, first as a dancer, and now as a combination of both, as an actor and a dancer too. She's a prolific writer, producer, director, even a clothing designer, and still a dancer.
Wow.
And an actor. Yeah, I know, right? You will see her as Anna in the hit show Hidden Springs and as Jamie in the feature film The Eden Fury.
Ooh.
If you can please give it up for Miss Brit MacRae.
Yay.
Hello.
Woo!
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, how you
Not
doing?
much.
Good.
As we start off with every episode that we have here, Brit, have you made it yet?
I think my follow-up question to that is as an actor or as a basketball player? Because I mean, we were talking sports at the top of this thing, and I think as a basketball player, I have to say I have made it.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
My yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gone into athletes yet. That's what we needed to
So
find
I'm
an
happy to
athlete
be
for
your
this
first
one.
is what I'm here to
Perfect.
say.
Perfect.
You're a quadruple threat right now.
I have to say basketball was by far my worst sport in gym, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You have
No,
handles
and so
yet?
I would say no, I have not made it yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
Nice. At which moment in your career can you say that you have made it? What's the it for you in making it?
Oh, I could tell you specifically.
Yes.
I think for me, it would be acting on a 1970s psychological drama on David Fincher's set opposite Shia LaBeouf. That would be
Wow.
making it. I'd be like, this is the dream. This is like, I'm exactly where I want to be. I have my dream part on my dream set and my dream era with my dream director opposite my dream co-star.
Yeah.
This is it. Like at that point, like that's it. Like I could tap out at that point. I could retire, can move to a vineyard, and I could call it a day.
That's good. Like we haven't really gotten an answer that specific, so that's great. Having a very specific answer, because then we can hold you accountable to that.
That's right. Yeah, give Shia a call. Be like, yo, I gotta work opposite this lady. No, I think I started. Yeah, I want to say like a year and a half, 2 years ago, I started to get super specific with these things because I just felt like, and this I don't want to sound woo woo about it, but like I kept being like, I just want to work, and then you get certain auditions and you're like, oh, I'm not stoked about this, and it's like, but you keep saying you just want to work, so what are you putting out there? And I sort of dove into why I wanted to become an actor in the first place. The movies that movies that change your life, or the certain nuanced moments that make you go, yeah, this is the thing. This is what I want to do forever. And so it sort of naturally evolved. But it's like I've iterated that soundbite for probably a year now, and it's gotten more and more specific as I've been like, well, okay, how much more specific can we get? Like what era? Like, right. I grew up on Earth, Wind and Fire. Like I freaking love the 70s. Like let's dive in deeper. So yeah.
Oh, cool.
God.
Very cool. Has it I'm assuming from when you first started, pursuing this, like Lucas said, you've been doing a lot of artistic stuff for quite a few years. When you first got the idea of transitioning from I think it was dance first and then pursuing acting and writing and film, what was kind of your expectations in the beginning, and then how did those type of ideas of making it changed all the way now to that specific set movie in the 70s?
Yeah, it's funny because in terms of the transition specifically from dance to acting, so this is a sort of funny little story, but my dad called me downstairs probably when I was 14. At this point, I'd been doing competitive dance. I was, Monday through Saturday, you finish school at 3:00, you go to dance at 4, you're home at 10. Like it's like a hardcore. You do all the things. And he called me downstairs one day and he turned on the TV. And it's the satellites. There's 800 channels. He's
Right.
How many people? How many dance shows are there in Toronto right now, Britt? I was like, I don't know, one. He goes, okay, how many musicals are in Toronto right now, Britt? I was like, I don't know, 2. And he goes, look at this, 800 channels, all with paid actors. Okay, so in hindsight, the thought that this was his economic proposition, be an actor, you'll be loaded, is hilarious. But But, you know, his thing was like dancers weren't making a lot of money. And he was like, you should try an acting class. And me at 14, I looked at him and I was like, acting's easy. No. Like, I legitimately thought, I was like, acting will come after I'm already a professional dancer. Like, it's something that you do on the side. It's not hard. Dance is hard. Acting's easy. Anyway, like, okay, naive little 14-year-old Brit. But that's sort of, you know, then I want to say roughly a year-ish later, I got into Etobicoke School of the Arts. I ended up going to an arts high school. I was doing musical theater. Being in the city, I was around lots of my friends who had had agents since they were kids, who had been going out for different TV shows, they'd shoot a commercial during the week. And I just started to, you know, I started to get a little bit of an itch and started to go, oh, I wonder about this. I'm so curious what are they doing? So I went into an agency, a pretty good agency in the city at the time, and auditioned for her. And she just outright was like, I would send you in for musical theater and dance stuff right now. I would not send you in for any film and TV. You have no idea what you're doing. And I was like, wait, 14-year-old Brit, you mean film and TV acting isn't easy? Right. Okay. So ended up, she referred me. This is me at 15. She referred me to Lewis and said, go and train with Lewis Beaumander for a period of time. And when you have done your homework, come back to me. And so that's what I did. I trained with Lewis for a year. I took a bunch of classes, and then a year later went and I ended up signing with her, and I've since moved on from that agent. But basically my first film and TV acting class ever, sat in, watched Lewis talk, and filled, I want to say 10 pages in a notebook, was just like scribbling. I was like, this is gold. And it was just such a different, I loved the intimacy of that kind of communication of story compared to like a say to the back of the audience kind of a thing. Like, it just resonated with me on a much deeper level. So ended up that's sort of how I fell into film and TV. Then, to give you even a little bit more context, took a little bit of a pause from it during, I want to say, like, after high school. Kind of went through a little bit of this might sound odd, but went through a period of time where I felt like the pursuit of a career in acting might be deemed as selfish. And so, you know, I just thought, I'm like, you know, we have Doctors Against Borders and people fighting in Syria, and I'm saying that I want to do this for a living. How can I, you know, justify this? And I have a very academic family. We're very much like, school, you should do that thing. And so I ended up going to school for psych, and that felt like the most true to me. But I went and saw the movie. This is a weird one, but I saw the movie Inside Out. Okay. So as I sat down in Inside Out, like the Pixar, it's cartoon. Sat down in Inside Out. There was a man by himself in a suit, like 3 or 4 seats over from me. And at the time, you know, I was sort of seeing through, like, you know, looking at the timeline, like, okay, if I go to school for psych and then, you know, eventually do maybe a med program so that I can have a practice. And then let's think about this. Maybe over the course of my lifetime, I change 50 people, 100 people's lives that come and see me over the next, 30, 40, 50 years.
Yep.
I sat down and I watched as this middle-aged man, you know, in my head, I'm like, he's an accountant. Like, I don't know what he did for a living, but he sat a few seats down, and I watched as he experienced something on such a deep, visceral level. You know, he cried, he laughed, and, you know, I sat there and thought, wow, it's crazy to think that people can come into a dark theater. They can allow themselves to feel whatever they're feeling in the safety of this darkness. And they walk out after watching that story and they are changed forever. Whether it's conscious, subconscious, they are different people because of it. Right. And I was like, oh, I need to do this for the rest of my life. Fuck. Oh. So that was sort of a pinnacle moment for me, because I feel like if I didn't have the answer to that question, I don't know for certain that I'd be able to, you know, dive in as much as I have since then. You know, I articulate to lots and lots and lots of people. I'm like, whether I make $1 doing this, like, you'll see me at 65 at the local theater, like, doing this thing, because it's just like there's nothing else I can do.
No, that's beautiful. You briefly touched upon him, and I definitely do want to talk about Lewis and how we kind of intersect and everything like that. But I know Lewis is like a pretty big mentor for a lot of actors within Toronto, and probably national wise too. How important do you think it is for actors to have a mentor?
Yeah, I think very important. And I think in addition to that, definitely a community, like,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you come to a new city, like it can be lonely. And I think, I think that there is importance in finding your fit and figuring out who works for you, and, taking bits and pieces from everybody. But there's something about the community itself that sort of keeps the collective energy strong. Yeah, like when I first moved out to LA, that was the hardest part, was going, okay, now you're in a different city, you're in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
Who's finding that, navigating that. And the thing is, I think that sometimes it's the community that leads to the mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's the mentor that leads to the community, but I think they're both sort of they're harmonious.
Yeah, no doubt. And I'm sure even having to adapt into LA and trying to adapt to a new country was a struggle in itself too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I mean, the industry is so big down there. It's like you can get lost in the shuffle very quickly.
Yeah. Oh my God. Almost just to talk about like what's currently happening right now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. We're during COVID, and there's a lot more things to do rather than just focus on our one craft and everything. But in light of all that's happening in the world right now, what does being an artist mean to you?
Yeah, I think, and I mean, I don't want to sound cliche in saying that, like that it's we've always turned to artists, we've always turned to art, we've always turned to creators in order to seek solace, in order to seek some sort of comfort. I think if you look at the Great Depression, or if you look at any sort of global tragedies that have happened over the course of time, it's like we've always turned to the singers, we've turned to the comedians, we've turned to the actors, we've turned to the dancers, we've turned to people to help us connect and remember why we're human. And so I think it's incredibly important. And I think what was so beautiful during COVID was seeing how, like, it's almost like our industry as a whole, and I don't know if it's because we're always used to things in terms of on the economic front. We're always used to that lack of security. I don't know if it's because of that like we were able to be like, hey, 9-to-5ers, like, come lean on us. Like, this is kind of how we, like, this part is pretty much the same as how things usually are, health and pandemic aside. But, I think, it was really, really beautiful, and I was really lucky. I got asked to be a part of the Isolation Short Film Festival, and I was helping Steve Mann and Jessica Martins and everybody with that project. And that, was a really awesome investment of time and energy for me. Like, it was a very meaningful project over the pandemic. It was like a good, I want to say, like 8-week stint where we were just like every day, like living on Zoom, like, creating all the pieces. And it was beautiful. Like, it was beautiful to see how these particular circumstances inspired the storytelling and the art that we ended up seeing. Absolutely. Like, I got to watch so many movies, and I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of talented people in this city. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy how many talented people there are. Like, I hadn't even heard of half these people. There's people do like stop motion, and I was like, I don't even know how you guys know how to do any of this. Like, this is so cool. I think it's I mean, to answer your question, yes.
Oh, for sure.
It's incredibly important, and it's meant a lot to me, especially during these times.
No doubt. I remember watching the winning film, the one with the fingers, and they're attacking each other. Like, blew my mind, man. Like, that's a one-person shot film. Like, anyone else. It was perfect. Just one last question. I was just watching another interview with you.
Yeah.
Why is Fight Club your favorite film?
Well, so Chuck Palahniuk is my favorite author. first of all, and it's directed by my favorite director, David Fincher. So, and I just think it is the way that the story unfolds is so. I just love that you're not sure where you're going, and you're empathizing with both characters, and yeah, I just think it's a masterpiece. I also got into boxing a couple years ago, and like love it.
Looking for fight clubs.
Yes, if you have one that you know of, please tell me.
I'm not telling you.
Yeah, we're not supposed to. That's the first rule. We're not allowed to.
That's right.
Tell anyone.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. So, like, I guess that's the style of cinema you appreciate the most in terms of storytelling, where it's like a lot of different pieces of the puzzle. You don't know what's going to happen. Then you go through the experience of like figuring it out together.
Gone Girl, Social Network, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Yeah, these you're figuring it out. You're on the journey with the protagonist, and you're figuring it out with them. It's so I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love a good rom-com too, but
yeah,
like if you were just saying like, "Hey, Brit, how do you want to spend your career?" I'd be like, "Yo, look at like Rooney Mara, Lily Collins. Like these ladies have done some just beautiful. They have the trajectory of their career is just beautiful and very well rounded, but is filled with dramatic psychological type parts."
Yeah. Have you, I guess, during this period of time, now that there's so much extra time, it's rare for a lot of artists to like focus on like creating their, next material. You don't have a hectic schedule right now per se. I guess coming out of this, do you see yourself as like wanting to do more in acting, or like maybe try to do more writing, create those stories yourself?
Yeah, no, for sure. I actually just yesterday received my final. I created my first film last summer, and it was the
Nice.
sort of first big. It started out with me being like, I'll just make a scene, and then I wrote the entire script. It was a 15-page short, but I shot it on location. I had like a 35 person full crew. We shot the whole. We had extras and cast, and I shot it in a little small Midwest town in the middle of nowhere, Michigan. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, this is I wrote this thing. I'm gonna act. I'm gonna be the star of it, and I'm gonna tell this really remarkable story. Mm-hmm. And I really didn't think it was gonna be so hard. And then it was like, it was like 2 weeks out, and I ended up hiring on a producer, one of my producers, Amy Geist, and she's like, did you get a lifeguard for the lake scene? And I'm like, I need a lifeguard? Like, I don't know. She's like, do you have permits? How are we feeding people? Okay, you figured out the house, but like one person has a dog. I'm like, this is right. So much. But it was a really epic creative challenge to, I think when something's so close to you, there's so many blinders.
Right.
I feel like I missed so much, but anyway, I just got that film yesterday. We just sound locked. It's fine. I got the final cut yesterday, so I'm super pumped. I won't be submitting to festivals while they're virtual, but I'm very much excited to submit them when I can, to submit it when I can. Yeah.
Yeah. You're referring to the short film Row, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. We took a look at that, and like you wrote that yourself, and kind of spur of the moment kind of pursuing. So that's exciting. And like now that you say you've got a full cut of it, we're looking forward to like seeing that.
So now I feel like I can sort of, now that that's done, it's like, okay, floodgates are open for new ideas. It's like, it felt like until I had like a stamp on it, I was like, I can't, like, of course I'll like do creative powwows with friends, and I'm like, we should make something. And it's like, you should really finish that thing you started first. So
that's awesome. How long have you been writing that for?
You know what? I wrote it very quickly.
Wow.
I wrote it on a Via Rail from Ottawa to Toronto. Oh. Was when I wrote the whole. Yeah, I just like poured out of me. Like it was sort of just like ding, and then it just like. So I always joke that like I'm so A-type, go, that if you put me in an environment where you're like, you don't have Wi-Fi for 6 hours, I'm like, look at the things I can do, just chill.
Yeah.
But no, the story itself came quite quickly. It poured on me quite quickly, but No, like I've worked on other scripts and it has not taken 6 hours. It's taken months and they're not done. So
Right.
I'm not saying that's the norm.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my God. Should we do the word association game right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
I really
Cool.
suck at these games. I'm just going to put that out there, but happy to rally.
There's no
Perfect.
sucking in yeah.
This
No
is
one
like
can do that.
improv where they're like, name
Yeah.
5 colors. And I'm like, why do I know no colors anymore?
Think of it as
Banana.
think of it as more like a psychological test, no pressure.
Oh, good. Love that.
Did you want to go first, Josh?
Sure. Let me find there it is. Okay, so basically, Britt, I want you to clear your head, let go of all your thoughts, and I'll go through a list of 10 words. After each word I say, just come up with the first word, idea, image, just the first thought that you have associated with it. And then Lucas will go through his, and then
Is
we're
this
good.
PG or is this like, just so I know? Like, it's
Oh, this is whatever G you
okay.
want
I'm
it
just
to be.
making sure that in case something. Okay, great.
No worries. Okay, all right. First word, family,
Dad,
pineapple,
juice,
rain,
sun,
alone,
solitude,
motivation,
ambition,
kumquat.
Sasquatch,
Oh, haven't heard that one. Mountain,
valley,
tightrope.
Niagara Falls,
Oh, they have satisfied,
content,
and ending.
Finn.
Finn. Finn. Nice. Is there a tightrope in Niagara Falls?
I have no idea, but I just imagine the tightrope walkers that used to like would do
Right.
crazy shit like that.
Uh-huh.
Just across Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
That would be intense tightrope. Yeah.
would never do that in my life. Not pay me enough.
Do you have a fear of heights?
I don't necessarily have a fear of heights, but I definitely have a fear of putting myself in situations where I could die.
Oh,
It's perfect.
that seems like a natural response for sure.
Like a human.
Okay, clear your head, get to that Zen space,
Okay.
loosen up. Okay. So the first of 10. First word, enough,
Worthiness,
courage,
strength,
fight,
club,
jazz,
music,
shoulder,
elbow,
change,
growth,
strength,
courage,
ballet,
cat,
should've.
regrets,
Oh, sorry, what was that?
regret,
Oh, regret. Oh. Last word, Brit.
MacRae.
Yeah. All right.
There we are.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me. This is so much fun.
Yeah.
So do I just exit stage left? Is that my thing?
Yeah.
Soon.
Yeah.
What are your handles and where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Brit MacRae, so BritMacrae. That's probably the best place to find me. I mean, you can go to my website, I guess, too, BritMacRae.com. But now Instagram's sort of the give me a DM, or you can find me on Facebook as well, Brit MacRae. Everything is Brit MacRae. It's
nice,
pretty clean.
And she posts really cool, like David Fincher, like Instagram stories. So you can find that on there. Nice. Josh, where can people find you?
At Josh Yang Comedy across everything. And then, the Sleep with Josh podcast. If you're in the mood and can't fall asleep, I can read some stuff to you. So
is that a thing you do?
Yeah, no, I have
really cool.
Separate podcast. I read things like boring things. So like the dictionary,
like menus and stuff. Like you just.
Yeah, I've started a cooking section where I'm reading a book called The Complete Book of Cheese. So a bunch of random stuff, terms of services, the weather.
Wow.
I've read the weather a couple times. Yeah, so just random stuff.
What gave you that idea?
Well, it's because I have a bunch of jokes about how my voice is so monotone. So it's like, it's monotone, puts people to sleep. And then I thought, it's like, I know that there are sleep aid podcasts out there, but they're all like old literary stuff. It's kind of reading the same things. There wasn't one where it's like actually boring, dry material. So I thought if I just read that,
genius.
Yeah, then I would corner an area of that kind of market that nobody's ever done. So I've read laws. I've read, what's another idea I had? I've counted sheep for about an hour. Yeah.
Wow.
So just a bunch of random stuff. Yeah, you could check it out. Sleep with Josh. And that's all I got going for me. These two podcasts, Sleep with Josh and Have We Made It Yet?
And you can find me at Lucas John Ng across social media on Instagram and on Facebook. Yeah. And please like, subscribe us at HWMIY podcast on Instagram and on YouTube. And subscribe because we do need those followers. So thank you.
Yeah. Great.
Awesome. Give it up for Brit one more time. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
Awesome. Okay.
Great.
See you all next week.